All right, so what we're going to do here is start getting the scripts ready for getting this HUD to work, right? Getting our score and so on to work. So first thing we'll do is actually in the HUD script, which we haven't touched before, we're just going to create all the references to the text, okay? So again, it's just sort of keeping things separate, a little bit different than we've done before here, but there's always these different techniques. So I'm just going to open up the HUD, and which really stands for Heads Up Display. And I'm going to get rid of everything. And so for each one here, we're simply going to set public. Oh, actually, before I do that, we have to tell Unity that we're going to access the UI components. So UI, or else it won't recognize the text. So basically, I'm just going to create the 5 text references here for each of those texts that we create here. So the player score, computer score, and so on. So all of them are going to follow the same idea. Player score. Oops, I can spell score. Okay, and then just keep going. So public text, computer score, public text, computer win. And they don't have to be the same name, but it makes sense to keep them. Player win. And then the last one there, public text game start. Okay, so that's all we're going to do here is just hold on to them. So we'll just save that. And then we should be able to go back to Unity. And because we put that script on the script here, it should update in a second with all those ones. There we go. Okay, and so I'm just simply going to drag each one in. So player score, computer win, player win, and game start. Right. So that will simply be a script there to hold those, and then we can simply, access them with our script. So what we're going to work on next is our game script. And so sometimes you might think of this like a game manager that's going to sort of monitor what's going on. And if you remember from before, we used the game manager, the game script here, to spawn the ball. And that makes sense because neither the player is going to do it. It's sort of like a referee. And so the referee is also going to do things like, manage the score here. So that's what we're going to look at. So first thing that we're going to do, so we've got our game object ball. What we're going to want is something to hold on to the scores. So set that to private. They'll both be integers, obviously. And so we'll do a computer score and identical player score. So once you've got those two, we've got something that can hold the score here. We're going to have to do 2 other things. We need something to grab the canvas, right? Our HUD canvas here. So I'm going to call that private again. It's going to be a game object because the canvas is actually an object in your game. And we'll just call it the HUD canvas. Whoops, semicolon. And the other thing that we need to hold on to is the script. And so we called our script the HUD. So we need to make sure that that's capitalized. And then we'll just call it with a lowercase one there. So that will reference the HUD, and that's where we're going to be able to grab all of them. Now at the beginning of the game, we spawned the ball. But the other thing that we're going to have to do is basically find the game object HUD canvas and then its script, grab that component script. So basically what we're doing here is the HUD canvas is going to be equal to the game object dot find, right? And then we just put the string in, so the name here. And so we called it HUDC, all capitalized, canvas. So just make sure your spelling is identical. And then once we've got that HUD canvas, what we can do is we can specify the HUD. So the lowercase HUD is going to be the HUD canvas's component. So HUD canvas dot get component. And so the component we're going to grab, if I can spell component, is the HUD, and I did it all capitals there. So again, making sure that you follow along there and like that. So what that's done is basically found the canvas, okay, and then found the script on the canvas. So we have to make those references there. Now the other thing that we've got to do is basically just put in some scripts functions to increment the script. We haven't called these yet, okay, they're not going to work, but what we're going to do is basically with the ball, it will tell us when to run the computer point or the player point. So we're just going to add points to them. So again, we're going to create two functions here. One is we'll call computer point. And this one, we're simply going to increment the computer score that we created just a few minutes ago. So ++, easiest way to do it. It's just going to increase it by 1. And then, so what we need to do then is update the computer score. So what we can do now is we can grab from the HUD, we should be able to grab the computer score. Okay, there we go. Just getting worried there. So what we want to do is the computer score.text. Okay, so that's actually the text there. And we basically want to just set the, nothing too fancy here, just set the computer score to a string. So it needs to be a string there. So it's just this string method, toString. So it's just going to convert whatever the computer score is to a string so it can display it as text. I'm just going to, pretty easy, it's just to copy this and make the changes here. So got computer point, so now we're going to have player point. So it just follows basically a mirror image here. So the player score we increment, and then the HUD dot player score. Find it, yep. Dot text is equal to player score. Good. All right, so that should allow us basically to call these later on. Okay, probably from the ball script because it makes sense, right? When the ball is going to be at a certain position, it's going to give the computer a point. And then basically we're going to have to reset it. So we'll be able to reset the spawn ball. So you can just imagine where we're going with this. Like I said, once we've scored a point based on its position, calls this computer point, and then we'll have to spawn the ball again. But we'll do that in the next video. All right, so make sure you save this. Let's just double check here. We've got no issues. Computer's a little slow, so just give it a pause. Looks good. Okay, so hopefully everything's working out there, and we'll see how it works in the next video.